Well, FYI, I found out this morning that Valentine's Day is nearby. Morning. Aaron's having roughly the same problem. He's writing reports that say 2016. He's like, no.
No, I'm seeing reports I've already done that say January 2016. I'm like, but this is January 26th.
Oh, okay, so we are having a problem, because I'm like, I'm like, Valentine's Day is in February. It's not like, that's what it is.
And speaking of dates coming up, I don't work on President's Day on the 15th.
You don't work Monday?
I don't work Monday.
Maybe we'll get the video all tied up and do that stuff and then go see the Deadpool or something.
That works. I was actually going to ask you when you wanted to see that, because I know we both want to. And we don't have to see Ant-Man until, because it's not MCU, but Ant-Man is.
I'm trying to figure out.
We need to see Ant-Man before we see the next MCU movie, because Ant-Man is MCU, and we haven't seen it yet.
Oh. Okay. Is he in the next one?
I think so.
Oh. Well, I guess that would be pretty important then. I don't know. I'm just, at this point there have been so many, I'm just watching them. So it's a little bit sprinkly out this morning, but not, can you guys see how it's like, yeah, how like the lines are a little darker and there's like spotty, I mean here, I'm not sure, regular viewers will know that the parking lot isn't usually that shiny black.
Oh, actually it is.
Well then why are there tire tracks?
No, it's usually that shiny black because it's usually raining.
Well, technically we had more dry days last year than rainy days, so. Because we had such a dry, we're having kind of dry practices this year too. What I think is really funny is I'm seeing a lot of the other the other football league, they're like, practice is starting February 12th. I'm like, your practice is what? But like, I haven't seen the Bearcats announce when they have a practice. They probably put it out on some weird private board like the defense chat.
Yeah.
So that's probably that. Or they have a private group. Or, you know, they actually use a website. No. Ah, yeah, so did you hear that Mark actually said that the website is going through... He told you because you asked a specific question, but he said that the league has a kind of a new splash page. And I'm wondering, because they have Pacific Football League, if they're just redesigning something as a very base underground and then they're just going to replace what was already on there.
I kind of hope so. Their website kind of sucks.
Well, it was, in terms of how you would grade elementary school kid, it would be a check minus.
Yeah.
It was sufficient for what it did. You could link to all the pages, and the pages were good. It's just...
Some of the links didn't lead exactly where you expected them to. Some of the data wasn't quite there.
You couldn't cross-link. You didn't have good cross-links. Like you had to... It's sort of like suburbia. If you went into a neighborhood, you couldn't necessarily get out to another neighborhood. You had to completely back out and go to another one.
Yeah.
So hopefully this one will be a little bit more interconnected.
I keep wondering if I should,
grapes, wine. That's a wine festival. Blueberry is on the big sign on the side of the Mac, so we have sides of the bus. Yeah, and I was like, blueberries, and then it went wine festival. I'm like, those are grapes.
So I keep wondering if I should try to connect ICITIS or IAE with the Pacific Football League for content management and marketing, and then I think, PFL really doesn't seem to do that stuff. That makes them a perfect candidate, but they don't do it. Maybe they don't want to.
I don't see how it could necessarily affect them. I really don't.
Getting here just in time. It's starting to rain.
It's just because the dry leaves that were on the thing, it make them sound more. And the fact that we're near trees.
No, it's actually raining a little harder.
I must just have an umbrella then. Do you want to say anything, or should I mean, is there anything you want to talk about?
Not really.
No? I'll see you guys inside in case something spawns to my head and I'll think about something.
Yeah, have a good one.
Alright, it's 10:23. Can't necessarily, I could have looked at the phone, but I'm not. Yep, 10:23. I was talking with Jarvis earlier on Snapchat, and I realized while a lot of people understand what a meltdown is, a lot of people don't understand the preterm adjective qualifier, autistic meltdown. Sorry for you guys, that's autistic meltdown. get my back. Anyways, it's really hard to explain, and I've gone to like various websites, and I've asked I asked Google, why is it called an autistic meltdown? I have a whole bunch of sites that describe the difference between a temper tantrum and an autistic meltdown. And it's all referencing kids. This is another thing that gets me kind of screwy when I try to give people information about this, because it's all about kids. When I got diagnosed before, it was like, oh, okay, that's cool. There's a bunch of websites out there and a lot of books and a lot of people that want to help kids with even high functioning. And it made me just feel that adults that get diagnosed, or people that get diagnosed late in life, are kind of screwed. And this is stuff that, you know, was years ago. This was, at this point, almost 10 years ago. I got my diagnosis in 2002, 2003, something like that. So we're looking at like 13, 14 years ago. I mean, I was in my early 20s. And for most people right now, that's been diagnosed for a long time. It has, yes. But it's a late diagnosis. And there are some people that aren't even diagnosed till their 40s. But there's no help. There's no studies done. It's just sort of like, oh, well, whatever. And in a weird way, I kind of feel that with the LGBT athlete. I'd already been out for a while. I've been out since I was like 20. I know this because I was dancing in a bar. Anyways, we won't go into that one, but I was 20 at the time in a bar, and I wasn't allowed to stay on the floor. I had to go between the dressing room and the stage. But yes, but it's the LGBT athlete. I see all the athletes that are coming out, whether they're in college or they're in high school, and it's the youth of America, and they're actually coming out. So they get stuff. It's sort of like, well, what about, and that's why I kind of like talking to Chris Mosiers, because he's already, I mean, he's trans, he's well into the process, and an athlete is actually, I think, going to the Olympics as a triathlete. But anyways, getting off track here, and there just isn't much help for that. And so when I try to tell my teammates or other people what a meltdown is, they're like, oh yeah, I had one. I'm like, not really. I mean, yeah, I just got done reading the article that says everyone can have meltdowns. It's not an autistic thing. It's just that the thing is, when people think of meltdowns, they think of more of, get this thought out here, they think of more of a mental breakdown and sort of idea. Now this is it's the thing is, they're very similar, but it's the fact that I've seen neurotypicals go through what everybody calls a meltdown. And that's not quite what it is. Because they're just overly stressed, and they're just basically having a super tantrum. And that's what it sounds weird. Whereas, you know, they haven't lost control in any way. It's sort of the pressure cooker that finally just has to let off a bunch of steam, and it starts cracking at a few of the points. It's not just that, you know, your little vent on the side can't handle anymore, so it starts coming out where the lid's attached on, you know, and it starts coming out in places you're not expecting it. Whereas a meltdown is, as I have best described, and this is very pertinent now because we've just discovered gravity waves, but it's like the world, when a meltdown is happening, I can feel waves of pure human energy, but not an aura. In a weird way, just like everything just like, you know, when you see the ideas of like the phoenix and its wings outstretched and every point has something flying away from it because it's on fire and it's blazing, that's what it feels like. When I was down here, curled up on the ground during that game night one night, it felt like that I was just exuding energy of all forms, anger, sadness, just all energy, and all I could do was scream. I wanted to let out light, I wanted to let out sound, I wanted to let out just everything needed to get out of me. That's what was happening at practice. But I needed to keep containment, or it would have been real weird. And I lost containment later. But that's also why it's an adult, because I've had a numerous of these and I know what it does. But when people say they've had a meltdown, I'm just like, is it the same? I don't really want to keep describing into this because some people, when they have a meltdown, they have a small form of PTSD about it. But anyways, so I don't really know how to describe a meltdown to people other than what I just did. I don't know how to get across to people. I don't know. Now my frustration has made me sad. Chat with you guys tomorrow. It's one take. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Aaron and I might do something together. Depends on if he can get off work early.